Yeah, the Lions of Syria, we'd like to welcome Johnny Achi, representing Arab American Syria, a regular guest who's been keeping us updated every week on the unfolding crisis, the effort of Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United States to deconstruct, to destroy the central government of Syria and set up a series of fiefdoms. Welcome, Brother Johnny.
Hello, Dedon. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Right. There was an article in the New York Times that talks about this new alliance, Islamic Front, that's being created as a juxtaposition to the Syrian National Council, as well as, according to this article, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Do you have any comments on this?
Absolutely. This is one very important point. This proves now there is no more any opposition on the ground that is secular, as the United States continue to tell us that there is secular opposition. What we know, there is al-Qaeda, that's for sure, Nusra Front, those are the two strongest, and the ISIS, which is the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. And now, with all the other bigger brigades, they have aligned. Some of these have been known for 2.5 years. They're the ones who actually took over northern Aleppo, like Sapur al-Sham. And now, these 6 other biggest brigades have made that alliance, and their position on a video aired today on al-Jazeera, I just saw it on al-Jazeera, I know it's a New York Times article, but also I saw the actual video. They're saying that the new union would not only be seeking to oust President Bashar al-Assad, but to establish an Islamic state.
Mm-hmm.
So now here we have al-Qaeda, we have Nusra Front, we have ISIS, and now we have this new front, the new Islamic Front of 6 other factions that were, big enough. Now they will be probably the biggest on the ground. So here's the point I want to make is that there's 2 other points I want to discuss about the reasons why the U.S. is obviously on the wrong side of this war. Number one, there is no more secular oppositions, not even in political oppositions. All the ones who carry weapons today against the Syrian government are all extreme, and they're all asking for an Islamic state. Secondly, the Americans there was an article also in the New York Times 2 days ago on Wednesday, Dedon, and they're quoting an American intelligence official. And this is a very important point, saying that now dozens of Americans have traveled to Syria to fight, or to fight with the rebels against the government of Bashar al-Assad. Now, dozens doesn't sound like a big number, but we know what one person did in Boston a few months ago, just one, okay, coming back from Dagestan. So now we have dozens, and they are still maybe a small subset of the mostly radicalized young Muslims from Europe who have been to Syria. And based on the article in New York Times, there's about 700 or 800 Europeans from the tens of thousands of foreign jihadists. Now that number is going to grow. My concern, and the concern should be of every American, when the United States government is still supporting these jihadists, what they call them freedom fighters, which we know they are terrorists, what's going to happen when these people return homes, okay, from fighting for years, and cutting head and doing all this? This is a real threat to the United States, and they really need to put a stop on this. And obviously right now in the dozens, they could be in the hundreds, and eventually we're going to have to deal with them here at home. The third point I want to make, Dedon, real quick. Today, there was an assassination of a minister in Syria, a new ministry, one of the newest and a new established ministry called the Reconciliation Ministry. Obviously, since the war, before the war, there was no need for a Reconciliation Ministry. One of the person who is the minister, he's actually an opposition, a moderate opposition. What we are proud to remember, we talked about this a few weeks ago, a nationalist, moderate opposition, someone who has no foreign agenda. He was put in charge of this ministry because the word reconciliation means musalaha, or what Mother Agnes also was doing, which was working with this minister. He goes to areas where there's hot areas and try to negotiate the release of kidnapped victims, try to have people surrender their weapons and guarantee their safety, that they will go sign an affidavit, and then they turn their weapons and they will bring them home to their parents, that they will never carry weapons again. He's done an amazing job. Today they tried to assassinate him. He survived. His driver was killed. So this democracy that the United States want to bring to Syria, if they cannot accept an opposition who's working so hard to end this war, he's an opposition and they're trying to assassinate him, what type of democracy are they really hoping to have? They want just one color, the color of an Islamic state? So, these are the certain things that we need to be thinking about, and probably, wonder why is the United States really standing on the wrong side of this war?
Yeah, well, I think once again in my intro we talked about the objective is the decentralization and deconstruction of a nation state called Syria, and establishment of a series of fiefdoms, some led by Islamic Front, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, the Syrian National Council, whatever, because obviously the logic of oppression is divide and conquer. So that appears to me to be the objective. Because I look at Somalia, I look at Libya, what has happened, I look at Afghanistan, I look at Iraq. I see this phenomenon occurring throughout the world based upon U.S.'s support of al-Qaeda forces, the so-called expatriate forces in Europe and America. It seems that they're consciously on a strategy to divide and conquer. That's my opinion.
Absolutely, and every day we're having more reasons to believe what you just talked about. And we need the American public to start to be aware, not to believe what their government is telling them, just actually question and start taking stance against that, because it's going to come back and haunt us here. We've been saying this for 2 years on your show.
Well, just as a closing note, I think we need to salute the people of England and the United States and Congress who stopped Obama from bombing Syria, and forced it to negotiation table. Of course, we have to give our hats off to Russia for, having the foresight to propose an option besides bombing. And so as this chemical armed destruction occurs, hopefully, inshallah, that there will be a process for fair and democratic elections in Syria, including President Bashar al-Assad being able to run for office and let the people of Syria make the decision who they want for leadership. We thank you, Johnny. We thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Dedon. I appreciate it.
Take care.